Hello, my name is Rod Winters, and I'm excited to welcome you to my sleep story, where you will become the main character as you spend a night as a security guard at the Natural History Museum. This sleep story is designed to be just interesting enough to hold your wandering thoughts while providing you with fascinating, historically accurate facts and soothing you into a natural sleep. Before we begin, take a moment to make yourself comfortable. Adjust your pillows, pull up your blankets, and if you haven't already, allow your eyes to gently close. Take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. Let any tension from your day melt away as you prepare to step into another time and place. Throughout tonight's journey, you'll find gentle breathing cues woven naturally into the narrative, matching the steady rhythms of your night patrol. So settle in, let your breathing find its natural rhythm, and prepare to leave behind the cares of today as we travel back to 1985. Tonight, you are stepping into the shoes of Sam Morrison, night security guard at the Grand Metropolitan Museum of Natural History, where dinosaur bones stand sentinel in the darkness and gemstones glimmer behind reinforced glass. Outside, the city pulses with distant traffic. Inside, only your footsteps and the tick of antique clocks mark the passage of night. You stand in the employee entrance, wool uniform pressed and badge gleaming under fluorescent light. The heavy door clicks shut behind you, sealing away the October chill. The air carries the familiar scent of floor wax, old wood, and the faint mineral dust that settles from ancient specimens. The security office waits down a narrow corridor lined with staff photographs from decades past. Your leather shoes tap a steady rhythm on worn linoleum. Each step draws you deeper into the museum's nighttime world, away from the city's restless energy. You pause at the time clock, its brass mechanism gleaming in the half-light. The card slides into the slot with a satisfying chunk, and the hammer strikes. 10:47 p.m. printed in purple ink. You run your thumb over the raised numbers, feeling the slight indentation in the cardstock. In the security office, your fellow guard Patricia hands you the leather-bound logbook. "All quiet tonight," she says, her voice soft in the stillness. "Just you and the dinosaurs." You accept the book, its weight familiar in your hands, pages whispering as you flip to tonight's entry. The fountain pen scratches gently across paper as you sign in, each letter formed with care. You reach for your equipment belt, checking each item by touch. Heavy flashlight with its ribbed metal handle. Ring of brass keys that jingle softly. Walkie-talkie in its worn leather holster. The weight settles around your hips, a comfortable reminder of purpose. At the pegboard, you select your first checkpoint key, the Rotunda. Your fingers trace its unique notched pattern, memorizing its ridges. Each security station throughout the museum has its own key, its own box where you'll turn it to prove your rounds. This simple ritual, walk, check, turn, record, will carry you through the quiet hours until dawn. Patricia gathers her things, coat rustling as she buttons up against the cold waiting outside. "The new Egypt exhibit's climate control has been cycling," she mentions. "Maintenance will check it tomorrow, but keep an ear out." You nod, making a mental note. The museum's mechanical systems have their own personalities, subtle changes in air pressure, the whisper of vents adjusting. The office door closes with a soft click, leaving you alone with the museum's treasures. You stand for a moment in the pool of desk lamplight, letting your eyes adjust to the dimness beyond. The particular silence of large spaces at night settles over you like a familiar coat. Your first patrol always begins the same way, counterclockwise, through the main floor, then spiraling upward through each wing. You clip the key ring to your belt, its weight swinging gently with each movement. The flashlight fits perfectly in your palm, though you won't need it yet. Emergency lighting casts pools of amber glow at every intersection. At the security office door, you pause with your hand on the handle. Beyond lies the museum proper, where millions of years of history wait in darkness. You turn the handle slowly, brass mechanism clicking. Cooler air touches your face, carrying with it the faint scent of marble and time. You enter the Grand Rotunda, where the skeleton of a brachiosaurus reaches toward the domed ceiling 4 stories above. Emergency lights create a lattice of shadows through its ribs, patterns shifting as you move. Your footsteps echo in the vast space. Tap, 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 each sound rippling outward before being absorbed by tons of stone. The first checkpoint box stands mounted on a marble pillar near the information desk. The brass key slides into the lock, meeting slight resistance from years of use. This particular mechanism has a 2-stage action. First, a quarter turn to engage, then a full rotation that punches the time card inside. The mechanical thunk travels up your arm, confirming your presence. You pull out your small notebook, its leather cover worn smooth from countless nights. The pencil scratches softly as you record 2305. Rotunda, check complete. All secure. The Hall of Minerals beckons through an archway to your left. Here, the emergency lighting has been carefully angled to prevent glare on the display cases. Amethyst geodes yawn like purple mouths. Sheets of mica shimmer with rainbow iridescence. A massive quartz cluster sits central, its points reaching in all directions like frozen fireworks. You walk the perimeter slowly, letting your eyes drink in the subtle colors. At the far end, a dehumidifier hums its low note, necessary to protect the specimens from moisture. The machine's vibration creates tiny ripples in a glass of water someone left on a nearby bench, concentric circles spreading and fading in endless repetition. The second checkpoint waits near the meteorite display. This key has 3 deep notches, worn smooth where countless thumbs have gripped it. The lock here is newer, replaced last year, and it turns with oiled precision. As you complete the rotation, you notice the Guybian meteorite in its case nearby, its surface etched with Weidmannstettin patterns that formed as the iron cooled in space over millions of years. Moving deeper into the mineral hall, you perform your visual checks. Each case lock remains secure, each pane of glass intact. The cleaning crew has been through earlier. The faint lemon scent of their solution still lingers, and every surface gleams. Your reflection ghosts across the cases as you pass, transparent as a memory. At the hall's end, you test the emergency exit door. Push bar firm, magnetic lock engaged. The small LED glows steady green. You note this in your book, pencil moving in practice strokes. You exit through the far archway into the Hall of North American Mammals. The carpet here muffles your footsteps to whispers. Elaborate dioramas fill oversized cases. A grizzly bear rears on hind legs, frozen mid-roar. Wolves pursue caribou across painted tundra. Each scene is lit by spotlights on timers, creating subtle shifts that suggest movement. At the mountain lion display, you pause. The great cat's glass eyes create an optical illusion, seeming to track your movement. The taxidermist position the head at just the right angle. No matter where you stand, you feel observed. Even knowing it's only skin and careful construction, some primitive part of your brain stays alert. The third checkpoint box is tucked behind a pillar near the bison display. This mechanism is older, requiring a firm push before the turn. It catches halfway, as it always does, needing a slight jiggle to complete the rotation. You've reported this quirk multiple times, but maintenance says it's character, not malfunction. You continue through the hall, past elk with magnificent antlers, moose frozen mid-stride, deer caught in eternal vigilance. At the far end near the Kodiak bear display, you notice a small placard has fallen inside its case. You make a note to tell the day staff, nothing urgent, just another detail in the constant battle against entropy. The connecting corridor to the next wing is narrower, more utilitarian. Here, the walls are simple painted brick, the floor practical tile. A water fountain burbles in its alcove. The cold water sharpens your senses, its mineral taste reminding you of the building's age. Pipes installed when the museum expanded in 1953. Through double doors, you enter the Hall of African Mammals. The ceiling soars to accommodate the elephant family that dominates the center. A matriarch leads her sisters and calves in eternal procession. Their tusks gleam ivory in the half-light, and the taxidermist captured something essential in their positioning: protective, purposeful, united. The fourth checkpoint waits near the lion diorama. This lock has been replaced with a modern cylinder, and the key turns smoothly. No character here, just efficiency. Inside the case, the male lion's mane has been styled to suggest wind, though the air in the museum never moves. You wonder briefly about the taxidermist's attention to such details, creating motion in stillness. You complete your circuit of African mammals, noting that one of the emergency lights near the zebra display has begun to flicker, probably a failing ballast. Another note for maintenance: another small imperfection in the perfect preservation. The next section awaits through an archway crowned with carved vines. You pause at the threshold, listening to the building's nighttime voice. Somewhere, pipes tick as they cool. The HVAC system breathes through hidden vents. These sounds have become your companions, as familiar as old friends. You step into the Hall of Reptiles and Amphibians, where the climate control maintains a precise balance. The cases here multiply into a maze of glass and preserved specimens. In the central case, a reticulated python coils in calculated curves. Its pattern mesmerizes, nature's own artwork in scales and symmetry. The fifth checkpoint box is mounted near the crocodilian display. The key for this one has an unusual square head, designed to prevent unauthorized duplication. As you turn it, the mechanism inside plays a subtle melody of clicks and catches. This lock contains a Swiss movement, installed after a break-in attempt in 1981. Moving through the serpentine layout, you pass rainbow-hued tree frogs perched on replica branches. The preparators position them mid-leap, using nearly invisible wires. In the shifting light, they appear suspended between decisions: to jump or not to jump, frozen at the moment of choice. At the venomous snake display, you perform your careful inspection. The locks here are doubled, with additional security bars across the tops of cases. The rattlesnake's tail is positioned mid-shake, each segment visible. You remember the day they installed this specimen, the handler's extreme caution, even with a snake long dead and drained. A soft sound interrupts your thoughts, the climate control system cycling on. Patricia was right, the rhythm stutters like a car engine needing tune-up. Instead of steady airflow, it pulses in irregular waves. You make a detailed note, including the time and duration of the irregularity. You exit the reptile hall through a side corridor that leads to the first stairwell. The marble steps show a century of wear, each one dipped like a shallow bowl. The brass handrail has been polished by countless hands until it gleams like gold. You climb steadily, counting steps out of habit, 32 to the landing, 32 more to the second floor. The second floor opens into the Hall of African Peoples. The displays shift from natural to cultural history. Masks stare from walls with hollow eyes. Ceremonial robes drape on mannequins posed in celebration. These objects once lived in human hands, served daily purposes, held meaning beyond their material form. At the musical instrument display, you pause before a collection of drums. Their skins remain taut despite the years, the tension carefully maintained by the conservation department. Each drum tells a story through its decorations, geometric patterns, animal totems, abstract designs that speak a language you can't read but somehow understand. The sixth checkpoint hides behind a case of beadwork. This lock requires a double turn, once to register your arrival, once more to mark the time. The mechanism was designed by a paranoid security chief in the 1960s, convinced that guards were skipping rounds. Now it's just tradition, one more ritual in your night. Continuing through the hall, you pass displays of metalwork showing techniques passed down through generations. Each piece represents countless hours of human labor, skill accumulated over lifetimes. The emergency lighting here filters through amber gels, warming the metal until it seems to glow with inner fire. At the hall's end, a massive wooden door, itself an artifact from a Yoruba palace, leads to the arms and armor gallery. The wood has darkened with age, and the carved figures seem to shift in the changing light. You push it open slowly, hinges protesting with their nightly complaint. Inside, suits of armor stand at attention like hollow men. Some are mounted on horses, creating frozen cavalry charges. The metal here absorbs light rather than reflecting it, creating pools of deeper shadow between displays. Your footsteps ring differently on these floors, sharper, more metallic, as if the armor were listening. The largest suit, made for a German prince who stood nearly 7 feet tall, looms near the 7th checkpoint. This key is longer than the others, designed to reach a lock set deep in a protective housing. The mechanism hasn't been serviced in years, and you have to lift slightly while turning to make it engage. The click when it finally catches echoes through the gallery. The armor gallery connects to the Hall of Asian Peoples through an archway hung with silk banners. The atmosphere shifts immediately. Where the armor room felt martial and aggressive, this space breathes contemplation. Cases hold delicate porcelain that survived centuries. Jade carved so thin light passes through. Scrolls painted with patience modern artists can't match. At a display of Japanese tea ceremony implements, you pause to read the newly installed placard. The objects are arranged as if ready for use. Bamboo whisk, ceramic bowl, wooden scoop. The museum recently acquired these from a private collection, and they haven't yet acquired the indefinable stillness of long display. The 8th checkpoint waits near the Chinese bronze collection. These pieces are the oldest human artifacts you guard, some dating back 3,000 years. The key for this lock is bronze itself, a reproduction of an ancient Chinese design. It's heavier than the others, and the weight feels appropriate as you turn it among these ancient treasures. You've reached the halfway point of your first round. Your body has found its rhythm, moving through the museum with practiced efficiency. Each room has revealed its personality. Each checkpoint confirmed your presence. The building has accepted you into its nighttime metabolism. Ahead lies the bridge to the west wing, where the newer exhibits wait. You pause at the tall windows overlooking the courtyard. Outside, the city glows with neon and streetlights. A police siren wails in the distance, then fades. Here inside, you exist in a bubble of quieter time, guardian of artifacts that measure existence in centuries, not seconds. You cross the glass-walled bridge to the west wing, where rain has begun to streak the windows. Each droplet catches the city lights before running down in wandering paths. The sound wraps around you, not quite white noise, but something more organic, more alive. The West Wing houses the Space Exploration Hall, where the emergency lighting includes subtle blue accents. A replica lunar module hangs from the ceiling, and scale models of planets create a 3-dimensional map of the solar system. You weave between them, careful not to disturb their orbits. The 9th checkpoint box is mounted inside a replica Mercury capsule. You have to fold yourself into the cramped space, knees bent awkwardly. The key mechanism here is protected by a metal hood. Apparently, children like to poke things into the previous lock. As you turn the key, you notice someone has scratched first into the paint nearby. Graffiti from an aspiring astronaut. Emerging from the capsule, you continue past moon rocks in their sealed cases. Each one is labeled with its collection site and date. Apollo 11, Apollo 12. Fragments of other worlds brought home by human hands. The thought strikes you that these rocks are immigrants too, permanent residents in a foreign land. Through another set of pneumatic doors, you enter the Ocean Life Hall. The centerpiece is a life-sized blue whale model, 90 feet of fiberglass and steel suspended from the ceiling. The emergency lighting plays across its flanks, creating an illusion of movement. You've noticed that the whale seems to swim in different directions depending on where you stand. A trick of perspective the designers probably didn't intend. The displays here include interactive elements, buttons and levers meant for curious hands. You test each one, ensuring the mechanisms move freely. At the tide pool simulation, artificial anemones wave in non-existent currents. The 10th checkpoint is built into a replica lighthouse, complete with a tiny LED that blinks every 30 seconds. This lock is the newest, installed just last month, and it turns with space-age smoothness. Moving deeper into the ocean hall, you pass through zones representing different depths. In the deep sea section, bioluminescent models glow with battery-powered LEDs. The anglerfish grimaces with its terrible lure, while jellyfish pulse with artificial life. The designers use fiber optics here, creating an effect that's both beautiful and unsettling. At the hall's end, a pressure door leads to the rotating exhibition space. Currently, it houses treasures of the Amazon. The climate control runs constantly here, maintaining rainforest conditions. As you push through the door, humid warmth fogs your glasses. The contrast with the dry museum air is shocking, like stepping through a portal to another latitude. You wipe your glasses and proceed through this temporary jungle. Living plants supplement the preserved specimens, and their green smell mingles with the earthy scent of mulch. The sounds here layer like a symphony: recorded bird calls, insect chirps, the distant roar of howler monkeys. It's almost too effective. You find yourself checking corners for movement. The 11th checkpoint hides inside a replica research station. The attention to detail impresses you. Worn notebooks filled with believable handwriting, specimen jars with faded labels, a cot with rumpled blankets. Someone in the exhibition department clearly understands that authenticity lies in imperfection. Leaving the Amazon, you enter the planetarium through the control booth. The star projector looms in the center like a mechanical spider, its countless lenses dark. You've been here during shows, watched this machine paint galaxies across the dome. Now it rests, potential energy waiting for tomorrow's audiences. The 12th checkpoint is built into the projector's base. As you turn the key, you look up at the dome where emergency lighting creates unintended constellations. The real stars wheel overhead, invisible beyond the city's glow and the museum's roof. But somehow their presence feels tangible in this space dedicated to their study. Your first full circuit nearly complete, you climb the back stairs to the 3rd floor. This is the museum's working heart: offices, labs, storage rooms. The public never sees these spaces where the real work happens. You check locks on collection rooms, peer through windows at specimens awaiting study. The 13th checkpoint waits in the osteology lab, surrounded by bones in various stages of preparation. A deer skeleton lies disassembled on a table, each bone tagged and numbered. Tomorrow, someone will begin the puzzle of reassembly, creating education from death. In the basement, you find the workshops quiet but ready. Tomorrow's repairs wait on benches, a broken display motor here, a mannequin needing new clothes there. The 14th checkpoint is in the carpentry shop, where sawdust from today's projects still scents the air. This lock is old and cantankerous, requiring you to pull the door tight while turning the key. The circuit complete, you return to the security office. The clock shows past midnight, the museum deep in its nightly rest. You settle into the desk chair, springs protesting with familiar squeaks. The logbook accepts your detailed notes in careful handwriting. Everything is as it should be. You pour coffee from your thermos, the liquid still warm enough to comfort. Through the security monitors, you watch the empty halls in grainy black and white. Each screen shows a different view, cycling through cameras every 30 seconds. It's hypnotic in its repetition. Hall of Minerals, Egyptian Wing, Dinosaur Gallery, around and around. The building settles into its deepest quiet. Somewhere, a clock chimes midnight, the sound carrying through empty halls. You lean back in your chair, coffee warming your hands, and prepare for the long middle watches of the night. The coffee sends warmth spreading through your chest as you settle deeper into the chair. You reach for the small radio on the desk, tuning it to the university station. Baroque music whispers from the speaker, a harpsichord playing Bach. mathematical precision transformed into beauty. The notes blend with the rain still pattering against windows. Time for the paperwork that accumulates even in quiet jobs. You review the shift reports from earlier in the week. A minor water leak in the third floor fountain, now repaired. 2 burned out bulbs in the Egyptian gallery, replaced. A child's forgotten backpack, reunited with owner. Each small incident resolved. Order maintained against entropy's constant pressure. You update the maintenance log, noting the climate control irregularity in the Amazon exhibit. Your handwriting flows across the form. The museum still does things the old-fashioned way. No computers for the night shift. The pen scratches softly, a sound that conjures memories of school exams and library study sessions. A new sound joins the nighttime symphony, the freight elevator engaging somewhere in the building's core. You check your watch, 12:47 a.m. The elevator runs on a timer, exercising its cables to prevent deterioration. You note the time, confirming another system functioning as designed. Standing brings a pleasant stretch through muscles that had begun to stiffen. Time for a shorter patrol, focusing on areas you haven't visited recently. The keys jingle at your hip as you leave the office, their weight a comfortable reminder of responsibility. The route to the loading dock takes you through prep areas where tomorrow's educational programs wait. Boxes of materials sit on carts, ready for school groups. A new display case stands half assembled, its glass panels leaning against padded supports. The smell of fresh lumber mingles with packing materials, the scent of constant renewal. The loading dock is purely functional. Concrete floors, steel doors, industrial lighting. You check each bay door, testing locks and alarm contacts. The delivery log shows today's receipts. Specimens from a university donation, replacement cases for the insect displays, and crates marked only with acquisition numbers. Mystery shipments aren't unusual. Sometimes donors prefer anonymity. Through the small windows in the bay doors, you glimpse the alley beyond, slick with rain. A stray cat hurries past, seeking shelter. The cold seeps through door seals, sharp enough to quicken your pulse. You test the alarm system, watching the LED confirm armed status. Returning through the prep areas, you take a different route past the staff library. Through the glass door, you see rows of journals and reference books, proceedings of the Royal Entomological Society, Vertebrate Paleontology Quarterly, titles that speak of lifetimes spent in study. The 15th checkpoint waits in the hallway outside, its lock stiff with disuse. On impulse, you decide to check the roof. The access stairs are narrow, painted institutional green. 5 flights up, past doors marked authorized personnel only, until you reach the final door. It opens onto the museum's flat roof, a landscape of ventilation units and communication antennas. The rain has stopped, leaving puddles that reflect the city's glow. You walk to the parapet, looking out over the urban landscape. The city never sleeps, but its energy feels different at this hour, less frantic, more contemplative. Distant sirens mark someone else's emergency. Here, surrounded by the mechanical heartbeat of the building systems, you exist in a peaceful bubble. After a few minutes, the cold drives you back inside. You descend quickly, body grateful for the warmth. At the 3rd floor, you detour through the research wing. In one room, a partially assembled skeleton awaits completion. Through the window, your flashlight illuminates the bones laid out in anatomical order. A 3-dimensional puzzle waiting for patient hands. Back in the main building, you begin your second full round. This time, you start from the top, varying your pattern. In the Hall of Human Evolution, you pause before the diorama, showing the march of human forms. From hunched Australopithecus to modern Homo sapiens, each figure captures a moment in the long journey. The artist gave them thoughtful expressions, as if each contemplated their place in the parade. The 16th checkpoint waits near the Neanderthal display. This key has teeth worn nearly smooth, and you have to wiggle it to find the remaining catches. The lock finally yields with a grinding click. You study the reconstructed face. the brow ridge heavy but the eyes unexpectedly gentle. Recent research suggests they had language, art, perhaps even music. Not the brutes of popular imagination, but people dealing with their own night watches. Through the ecology hall, where food webs are illustrated in 3 dimensions, wires suspend predators above prey in frozen pursuit. Energy flows from paper sun to plastic plants to preserved herbivores to taxidermied carnivores. You check each display for stability. Sometimes the wires stretch, and specimens drift from their assigned positions. The 17th checkpoint is built into a cross-section of a giant sequoia. The growth rings span centuries, marked with historical events. Columbus's voyage, the Civil War, the museum's founding. You place your palm against the ancient wood, feeling the subtle ridges of each year's growth. This tree was already ancient when it fell, and now it teaches patience to hurried humans. In the geology hall, specimens tell stories in millions of years. Crystals that formed in Earth's depths, cooling over eons into perfect geometry. Sedimentary rocks laid down layer by layer when continents had different shapes. Volcanic rocks born in violence, now resting peacefully behind glass. You move among these time capsules, temporary guardian of the permanent. The 18th checkpoint is near the volcano display. This mechanism is encased in a clear housing, letting you watch the internal movement as you turn the key. Springs compress, gears engage, a small hammer strikes to mark your passage. The designer clearly took pride in the machinery, form and function united. Your second round complete, you return to the office. The clock shows 2:15 a.m., the deep middle of the night when time moves like cold honey. You pour fresh coffee, add another entry to the log. The routine of documentation grounds you. Date, time, observations, signature. Order imposed on the flowing dark. The radio plays something more modern now. Synthesizers creating atmospheric soundscapes. You pull out yesterday's crossword puzzle, working through clues with the same methodical approach you bring to your rounds. 7 across, ancient timekeeper, sundial, 12 down, night guardian, watchman. You smile at the appropriateness. A soft thump echoes from somewhere above. You identify it immediately. Thermal contraction as the building's metal framework cools. You've learned to read these sounds like a language. This one says normal settling, not investigate immediately. Still, you make a note, 2:15, building settling sounds, 3rd floor, normal thermal contraction. Time for another circuit. You cap your pen, push back from the desk. Your body has found its rhythm, neither tired nor fully alert, but in that peculiar state of relaxed vigilance that comes with night work. The museum waits, patient as always, ready to share its secrets with its faithful guardian. You head directly to the Egyptian wing, drawn by instinct to check the climate control cases. The hall is darker than most, preservation requirements keeping light levels minimal. Your flashlight beam plays across hieroglyphs and carved figures, animating them briefly before letting them return to shadow. At the mummy case, you pause. The wrapped figure has traveled over 3,000 years and 5,000 miles to lie here. The journey seems impossible, from sacred burial to museum display, from divine pharaoh to educational artifact. What would the ancient embalmers think, knowing their careful work would one day be examined by curious schoolchildren? The 19th checkpoint hides behind a statue of Anubis. This lock has character. It makes a little singing sound as the tumblers fall into place. You've grown fond of these mechanical personalities, each one unique despite their common purpose. Through the medieval gallery, where armor stands in silent ranks, your reflection ghosts across polished steel, a modern figure among ancient warriors. The weapons in their cases span centuries of human conflict, from simple clubs to complex crossbows, each an improvement in the art of death. Now they rest, their purpose transformed from dealing violence to teaching history. The 20th checkpoint waits in an alcove containing a medieval clock, The mechanism stopped decades ago, but the painted figures still stand ready to perform their hourly dance. Death with his scythe, the maiden with her mirror, the fool with his bells, all waiting for time to resume. You turn your key beside these frozen performers, adding your own small performance to their eternal tableau. Through the connecting corridor to the Hall of Indigenous Peoples of the Americas, these displays require particular respect. Many contain sacred objects, things that were never meant for public view. The museum walks a careful line between education and sensitivity. You move through these galleries more quietly, as if the objects might be disturbed by heavy footsteps. The 21st checkpoint is built into a replica kiva. You stoop to enter the ceremonial chamber, finding the key station in the dim interior. The space feels different from the rest of the museum, not just a display, but a place that remembers worship. The click of the lock seems too loud here, too mechanical for the spiritual atmosphere. Back in the main corridor, you pause at a window. The first subtle shift in darkness suggests dawn still hours away. The city continues its restless existence, but the museum remains an island of calm. You've walked miles tonight, turned dozens of keys, confirmed again and again that all is well. The newer wing beckons, past the gift shop with its locked gates, through the administrative offices where tomorrow's business waits. The 22nd checkpoint is in the staff break room, incongruously placed next to a vending machine. The juxtaposition makes you smile. Ancient artifacts and modern snacks, both serving human needs across the centuries. In the Hall of Biodiversity, preserved specimens create a catalog of life's variety. Butterflies by the thousand form rainbow mandalas. Birds of every size and color perch on invisible wires. The diversity overwhelms, nature as artist, evolution as curator. You move through this celebration of life, checking cases, confirming security. The 23rd checkpoint is hidden among the butterfly displays. As you turn the key, you're surrounded by wings, iridescent blues, warning oranges, camouflage browns. Each butterfly lived its brief life completely, then donated its beauty to education. The preservation is so perfect you half expect them to flutter away when you open the case. Your rounds take you through the planetarium again. The empty seats face the blank dome, waiting for tomorrow's journey through space. You stand at the control console, looking at the buttons that launch visitors to distant galaxies. The power is off, but you can imagine the show. Stars wheeling overhead, planets dancing in their orbits, the universe revealing itself to wonder-struck audiences. The walk back to the security office is measured, contemplative. Your feet know every tile, every threshold. The building has fully accepted you now, including you in its nighttime breathing. The familiar sounds, ventilation whispers, pipe ticks, the distant hum of refrigeration units create a mechanical lullaby. In the office, you settle into your chair with practiced ease. The monitors continue their patient cycling through empty halls. The clock shows 3:17 a.m., the deep middle of the night when morning seems both impossible and inevitable. You update the log with careful notes, each word a small victory against the dark. The radio has shifted to jazz, saxophone lines threading through the quiet. You lean back, feeling the pleasant fatigue of duty performed. Miles walked, stairs climbed, treasures guarded. The museum sleeps peacefully around you, and you maintain your faithful watch. The night's deepest hour wraps around you like a comfortable blanket. You found that sweet spot in the office chair, where the lumbar support meets your back perfectly. The jazz on the radio has evolved into something more experimental. Brushes on drums, a bass line that walks through darkness. You decide to tackle the equipment inventory, a monthly task that's due tomorrow. The supply closet yields its clipboard and forms. You count flashlight batteries, check fire extinguisher tags, verify first aid supplies. Each item accounted for, each checkbox filled. The routine is soothing, tangible proof that order can be maintained, that systems work when tended carefully. A glance at the monitors shows something different in the mineral hall. Not movement, just a quality of light that seems off. You lean forward, studying the grainy image. There, one of the display case lights is flickering, throwing irregular shadows. Not a security issue, but worth investigating. You leave the office, keys singing their metallic song. The path to the mineral hall is familiar enough to walk blindfolded, but you stay alert. The flickering light becomes more apparent as you approach, creating a subtle strobe effect in the crystalline displays. The culprit is a failing fluorescent tube in the barrel case. The minerals seem to pulse with the unstable light, emeralds and aquamarines taking turns at brilliance. You make a note for maintenance, then stand for a moment watching the light show. There's beauty in the malfunction, a reminder that even failures can create wonder. The 24th checkpoint waits near the precious metals display. This lock has been recently oiled, and the key turns with liquid smoothness. Inside the case, gold specimens catch what little light remains, nuggets and flakes and leaves of pure metal. The placard explains how gold forms in stellar explosions scattered across the universe by dying stars. Every wedding ring, every circuit board contains atoms forged in cosmic furnace. You continue through the basement, drawn to check the storage areas again. The specimens not on display outnumber those in the public galleries 10 to 1. Room after room of carefully cataloged wonders, waiting their turn in the light. You unlock storage room 3B, devoted to mammal specimens. The preservation alcohol creates its sharp scent, but underneath you detect other smells. Fur and bone, the essence of creatures long dead but not quite gone. The shelves stretch to the ceiling, each jar and box labeled with scientific precision. Mus musculus, Canis lupus, Homo sapiens, Latin names that democratize life, making mice and wolves and humans equal in death. Back in the corridor, you check the preparation lab through its window. Tomorrow's work waits patiently. A deer skeleton half assembled, a tray of shells needing labels, a mannequin awaiting its costume. The tools are laid out with surgical precision, each one designed for specific tasks in the art of preservation. The furnace room requires another check. The boilers rumble with contained fire, digesting fuel to warm the building. The gauges all read normal, needles steady in their safe zones. You don't linger, the heat is oppressive and the noise makes thought difficult. But you appreciate these mechanical hearts that keep the museum livable. Climbing back to the main floor, you feel the building's personality shift. The basement is all business, focused on function. But here, where the public walks, beauty takes precedence. Even in darkness, the galleries maintain their dignity, their purpose clear. You enter the research library, drawn by curiosity. The smell of old books wraps around you, paper and leather, glue and dust. Your flashlight reveals titles: Morphology of the Invertebrates, Minerals of the Rocky Mountains, Tribal Arts of the Pacific Northwest. Each book represents years of study, lifetimes of careful observation. The 25th checkpoint waits near the card catalog. This lock is unusual. It requires the key to be inserted upside down, a security measure from the 1970s when the library experienced a series of thefts. The mechanism clicks with a different tone, higher, almost bell-like. You've grown to appreciate these small variations, each lock telling its own story. Unable to resist, you pull down a volume on nocturnal animals. The pages release the scent of aged paper as you turn them. An illustration of an owl catches your eye, its face a perfect disc of feathers designed to channel sound. The text explains how owls have asymmetrical ear openings, allowing them to pinpoint prey in absolute darkness. You and the owl share this adaptation to night work, though your prey is disorder rather than mice. Replacing the book carefully, you continue your rounds. The path takes you through the hall of human cultures in reverse order. Approaching from this direction changes the narrative. Complex society simplifying, tools becoming more basic, time running backward toward our common origins. In the African People's Hall, the masks seem more animated in the moving beam of your flashlight. Each face was carved for transformation, to turn the wearer into spirit, ancestor, or animal. Now they transform museum visitors, if only for a moment, into people who can imagine different ways of being human. The 26th checkpoint is integrated into a display of textile tools. The lock mechanism is protected by a wooden housing carved to match the adjacent artifacts. As you turn the key, you notice the delicate balance required in museum work, security that doesn't overwhelm education, protection that doesn't prevent wonder. Through the Asian galleries, silk robes catch your light like trapped moonbeams. The embroidery work is impossibly fine, dragons that seem to breathe, flowers that appear to bloom. Someone spent months on each garment, needle moving in meditative rhythm. Now they hang in climate-controlled stillness, their dancing days done. Your path leads past the classroom wing, where tomorrow's lessons wait in potential. You test each door, ensuring all remain locked. Through one window, you see a skeleton mounted on a stand, probably for an anatomy lesson. It stands at the chalkboard as if teaching, arm raised to point at nothing. The image is both humorous and haunting. In the Hall of Gems and Minerals, you're drawn once more to the largest specimens. A cathedral geode dominates one corner, its purple depths seeming to extend beyond the physical space it occupies. Your flashlight transforms it into a cave of light, each crystal face a tiny mirror. The placard mentions it formed over millions of years, water depositing minerals, molecule by molecule. Patience made, manifest in stone. The 27th checkpoint is near the earthquake simulator, a recent addition that lets visitors experience different magnitudes of tremors. The mechanism is locked in its night mode, platform still. You turn the checkpoint key while standing on the simulator platform, imagining the building shaking, cases toppling, order dissolving into chaos. The solid floor beneath your feet feels suddenly precious. The pattern of patrol has become meditation. Your mind floats free while your body follows familiar paths. You think about the strange democracy of museums, artifacts from pharaohs and peasants sharing equal space. Diamonds and quartz, given similar reverence, death and display as great equalizers. Back in the main rotunda, you stand beneath the Brachiosaurus skeleton. From this angle, in this light, it seems to move. An illusion created by your own motion and the play of shadows, but effective nonetheless. For a moment, 70 million years collapse and a living creature stands before you. Then you blink, and it's just bones again, wired together by patient hands. The clock in the security office shows 4:43 when you return. Dawn is approaching, though darkness still presses against the windows. You've entered that strange time when night and day exist simultaneously, neither fully real. Your body feels it, not tired exactly, but shifted into a different mode of being. You sit at the desk and begin preparing the shift report. Your handwriting has loosened with the hours, but remains clear. Every checkpoint verified, every anomaly noted. The flickering light in minerals, the stuttering climate control in the Amazon exhibit, the usual collection of small imperfections that mark a living building. The museum will wake soon, lights will blaze, voices will fill the halls, children will press eager faces to glass. But for now, it remains yours alone. You breathe deeply, drawing in the satisfaction of duty performed. One more round remains before your shift ends, one more circuit through the wonders. You rise from the desk, feeling the night's accumulated miles in your legs. But it's a good feeling, earned through faithful service. The flashlight finds your hand automatically. Keys arrange themselves by touch. You move toward the door, ready for your final patrol. The museum waits, patient as always, ready to share its secrets one last time before dawn. The final round begins with renewed purpose. You can sense the approaching shift change in the building's rhythm, a subtle quickening, as if the museum itself anticipates the coming day. Your footsteps carry you first to the Egyptian wing, where the ancient artifacts wait in their climate-controlled twilight. The mummy lies unchanged, wrapped in linens that have survived 3 millennia. But now, with dawn approaching, you see it differently. not just as a preserved corpse, but as someone who also worked nights. Priests maintaining temple fires, guards walking palace corridors, the continuity of human experience across impossible spans of time. The 28th checkpoint is near the canopic jars. This key is worn smooth as riverstone, and the lock accepts it with barely a whisper. You wonder how many hands have turned this key, how many night guards have stood in this exact spot. The museum has its own archaeology, layers of security, generations of watchers. Through the medieval hall, where the armor seems to anticipate the coming light. Soon, school children will marvel at these metal shells, imagining themselves as knights. But now they belong to the darkness, keeping their own watch. You check the seals on the weapon cases one final time. All secure, all ready for another day of education. In the Hall of Minerals, the crystals begin to show their true colors as the first hints of dawn seep through distant windows. What seemed monochrome in darkness reveals itself: amethyst purple, citrine yellow, rose quartz pink. The failing fluorescent has finally given up, leaving one case in darkness. You note it again, ensuring the day shift won't miss it. Your path takes you through the newer wings. In the ocean hall, the whale seems to swim through brightening air. The interactive displays wait for young hands to bring them to life. You test one more time. Buttons click, levers move, recorded sounds play softly. Everything ready for another day of discovery. The 29th checkpoint waits in the planetarium. As you turn the key, you notice the dome above showing texture in the growing light. The illusion of infinite space contracts back to painted plaster. But the wonder remains. Humans built this space to show themselves the universe. The ambition of it strikes you fresh. Through the research areas, past the library where books wait to answer questions not yet asked. The preparation labs where tomorrow's displays take shape. The storage rooms where patience is measured in decades. Each space serves the museum's mission: to preserve, to educate, to inspire. The 30th and final checkpoint stands in the main lobby. This key is different, brass polished to gold by thousands of turnings. As you insert it, you can see through the glass doors to the street beyond. The city is waking. Early joggers pass. A delivery truck rumbles by. The world of daylight and urgency prepares to reclaim the museum. You turn the key slowly, feeling the mechanism engage one last time. 30 checkpoints, 30 confirmations of your presence, 30 small rituals that add up to one night's faithful service. The click seems to echo through the entire building. Duty discharged, trust maintained. The walk back to the security office is slow, almost reluctant. Your shift is nearly over, but part of you always wants to linger. In a few minutes, the museum will transform. Lights will blaze, computers will boot, coffee will brew. The night watch will end, and the building will belong to the day. In the office, you complete your final log entries. The pen moves across paper with practiced ease. 0, 5:47. Final round complete. All areas secure. No incidents to report. Building ready for day shift. You sign your name carefully, closing the book on another successful night. Margaret arrives as you're gathering your things. Her cheerful, "Good morning," seems almost too loud after hours of quiet. You hand over the keys and logbook, sharing the brief communion of guards. She scans your notes, nodding at the maintenance items. "I'll make sure they know about the light in minerals," she says. "The building is in good hands. In the staff room, you change out of your uniform. The fabric holds the scents of your night, museum air, coffee, the faint trace of rain from your roof visit. You hang it carefully in your locker. Tomorrow night, tonight really, time becomes fluid when you work these hours. You'll put it on again and resume your watch. The walk to the employee exit takes you past the prep areas where early staff are arriving. The museum is transforming, shifting from contemplation to action. You nod to the maintenance chief, already planning his attack on the climate control problem. The education coordinator waves, arms full of materials for morning programs. At the exit, you pause. Behind you, the museum hums with gathering energy. Lights flicker on in sequence. Voices echo in halls that knew only footsteps minutes ago. Your guardianship has passed to others, curators, educators, security cameras, and soon the ultimate guardians, curious visitors. You step out into dawn. The city air tastes different from the filtered atmosphere inside, carrying exhaust and breakfast smells, rain and possibility. The sky shows pink and gold above the buildings. You stand on the steps for a moment, letting your eyes adjust to the brightness. A pigeon lands near your feet, head cocking with mechanical precision. The city wakes around you. Buses grinding through their routes, shops raising their gates, people emerging from subway stations. You're tired now, feeling every hour in your bones, but it's the good exhaustion that comes from meaningful work. The subway platform is harsh with fluorescent light. You find a seat in the corner of the car, letting your eyes drift closed as the train rocks into motion. The rhythm of the rails becomes a lullaby. Click-clack like footsteps in marble halls. Click-clack like keys turning in locks. Click-clack like time itself marking its passage. Your apartment waits, small but comfortable. You'll shower off the night's work, eat something simple, then slide between cool sheets. Sleep will come easily, filled with dreams of ancient artifacts and patient specimens. The museum will continue without you, sharing its wonders with new audiences. But tonight, you'll return. Keys at hip, flashlight in hand, ready to walk those halls again. The train carries you through the waking city. Around you, day shift workers check phones and sip coffee, preparing for their own 8 hours of purpose. But you're heading the opposite direction, toward rest, toward dreams, toward the peace that comes after a night well guarded. The museum recedes behind you, but its presence lingers. In your pocket, a forgotten notepad holds the night's observations. On your hands, the faint scent of old leather from the logbook. In your memory, miles of corridors walked, thousands of treasures confirmed safe. You've been part of something larger, the great human project of preserving knowledge, protecting wonder, maintaining the bridge between past and future. The train rocks gently, your breathing slows to match its rhythm. Soon you'll be home, but for now, you float in the space between night and day, between sleep and waking, between duty completed and duty waiting. The city flows past the windows like time itself, constant, changing, carrying you forward into rest. All is well in the halls of sleeping time. The guardian rests, the watch continues.